Welcome to the Let's All Laugh At podcast with me, Andrew Aziz, hosting because George has gone MIA, and Johnny, the Arsenal fan. How are you doing, Johnny?
Yeah, not bad. A bit weird. Let's all laugh out without George, whether he has
Uh,
gone. Yeah,
he's
he'll probably
been,
join halfway through this. You know that.
yeah, he's been ever present, hasn't he? He's the Frank Lampard of Chelsea days um, of this podcast. So possibly he might have been fed up with football after Palace. So we'll start with the Palace game. Um, Palace nil, Liverpool 7, Johnny. Some people have described it as the most clinical, complete performance in Premier League history for a long period of time. What were your thoughts on Liverpool?
Well, it was just an unbelievable performance, wasn't it? Just every time they came forward, they scored a goal. Just a perfect away performance. Palace didn't have any answers. I mean, they scored very early on, didn't they? Minamino scored, was it 3 minutes in or something silly like that? And yeah, once it was 1-0, there was only ever one winner, unfortunately. And as bad as Palace were, and they weren't great, I'm sure George will agree with that. But Liverpool were superb, and they definitely I mean, if it's one team that's going to win the league, they're definitely looks like they're going to do it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think having watched it, I was amazed at how clinical they were. It was almost like every shot was just going in. They really were so clinical. I mean, Minamino's been seen as a bit of a flop, but he came in, took his chance. Diogo Jota's injured. He was chosen ahead of Origi as well. And he's come in, taken his chance, got a goal. And then we saw Firmino, showing his more natural finishing with 2 goals. People have been saying he's not scoring enough. He needs to do more. But I mean, he's getting 2 goals will help. Which goal was your favourite out of the 7? I have my own views. Which one would you go for?
I quite liked I like Henderson's, to be honest. It was a good finish. I like the way he just curled away from the keeper into the bottom corner. I mean, they're all good goals. I mean, there's so many of them. I can't actually remember all of them, to be honest. Minamino's goal was good. I mean, that was a really good turn and a great finish. And I do like Minamino. I think he's a decent player. I think that goal might give him some confidence now to go on a little run. It's weird how football can work like that. You don't score goals and you don't play very often. Then you get a goal, and then that might breed some confidence into him. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Henderson's goal was my favourite.
Yeah, I think people forget that Henderson is capable of finishes like that. He's famously scored that goal against Chelsea from outside the box as well. He is capable of those. We don't see him score enough, really. But that goal was incredible. I'd probably go with Salah's. I think his second goal was incredible as well. In terms of, I mean, Liverpool, I mean, scoring 7. I mean, can anyone stop them? Is it too early to say, or
You know what, mate? It is very difficult because they're kind of pulling away now. They've got a lot of players out as well, and they're still. I mean, Palace is a difficult place to go. As Spurs found out last week with a 1-1 draw, so it's not an easy place to go. And to go there and score 7, that's very impressive. Yeah, at the moment, I don't see anyone stopping them. At the moment, I think they're kind of. I don't think they'll win the league by as much as they did last season, but I think they are going to take some stopping at the moment because the teams below them are all dropping points as well. So yeah, they're on fire at the moment.
yeah, I agree. I can't see. I thought, okay, Van Dijk's injured, Gomez is injured, that they would struggle, but they've not. And I think Fabinho has stepped up to be like a world-class centre back, basically. So they can fill around him, whoever plays alongside him. It doesn't seem to be bothering them. And their midfield, Keita doesn't play for a few games, comes in, plays really well. Wijnaldum comes in, does well. Curtis Jones looks quality when he does play. It's really hard to see. Like, even they drop Salah to the bench, Minamino comes in and scores. It's going to be very difficult to stop. I can't see any team being consistent enough to stop them. I mean, could if they did back to back, would they go down as one of the best Premier League teams in history?
Oh, I'll tell you what, if they go carry on playing the way they're playing, I mean, I think if they do win the league again with the players they've got out, I think they'd be up there. I think because if you take away like all the teams that have won the Premier League over the years, if you took out like the Chelsea over the years, if they won the league without John Terry, or Man City without Company, or an Arsenal without Henry and players like that, to do it without a star player would be very, very impressive. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure who they got next Liverpool, but whoever they're facing, I'm sure they'll be going, oh, not us. Let's have a look. They got West Brom at home, so that'd be interesting.
Yeah, Big Sam, see what he can do in that game. Okay, we may as well talk about your team next.
We have
to. Everton 2, Arsenal 1. Good result for Everton. How do you feel about the result and how Arsenal played?
I mean, I didn't watch most of the game. I listened to some of it on the radio. I saw we went 1-0 down quite early on Rob Holding own goal. From what I saw of the game, it wasn't a particularly great performance. No creativity yet again. I know we had a lot of the ball, but Everton allowed us to have a lot of the ball because we weren't creating anything. I mean, Jordan Pickford, that he's got a mistake in him, but we didn't really have a shot on target until the 96th minute with Saka. I'm not really sure what's going on at the moment. On Match of the Day, they were saying, Arsenal, are they in a relegation battle? And Shields like, well, don't be surprised if they are, because this can't continue, because this is relegation form. There's no denying that. It's very, very it's worrying. I don't know. I'm hoping the board don't act and sack Arteta, but I think it's very important. I mean, if fans were there, I think something might be done. But as the fans aren't there, they might stick by him. But it's definitely a worrying time at the moment. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've got no words. I've got nothing to what's going on with Arsenal.
Johnny, you've been a big advocate of big advocate. Big advocate of Eddie Nketiah. He got the chance. Lots of Arsenal fans from the reaction felt he was a little bit out of his depth. How did you feel about his performance?
I mean, he had a good chance and he hit it wide in the first. I think it was the first half. Good chance, good play by Tierney and Saka. I think it's like anything, isn't it, with football? I mean, he's scoring goals for the England under-21s. I mean, for the under-23s and in Europe he's scoring goals, but in the Premier League he's just not really hit the ground running. And I just think once he scores that one goal, it's all about confidence. He's still only young. I saw a lot of Twitter as well saying that he's out of his depth and he's not good enough. And although it's not great,
that he went on loan to Leeds last year, and he was on the bench all the time. I mean, that was the Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I really like him. I think he's a decent player. But then again, the strikers for us at the moment, they're feeding off scraps because there's no creativity. If you put Nketiah, I'm not saying he'd get in the Liverpool team, but just an example, if you put him in the Liverpool team or Man City team where they create loads of chances, he'd score goals.
Do you think that's a very simple argument? I've always thought this because people always say, well, if they had the service of Man City or Liverpool, but the thing is that Man City and Liverpool, teams against them, they drop back, they really sit in deep, so there's less space generally. That's what makes their top strikers, because they can find space. Like Aguero, for instance, always can find a yard out of nothing, really. What did you think of Pepe? Again, people a bit upset with his substitution, scored, and then he gets substituted anyway, and Willian stays on.
I mean, it wasn't a great performance from Willian. Pepe took his penalty well. I can't understand why he was frustrated, but he didn't create an awful lot. Pepe. I mean, he wasn't tearing up trees. He wasn't causing many problems for Everton. So it was good to see Martinelli come back on. I know he wasn't on for long, but that's a positive. There aren't many positives. I mean, Kieran Tierney played well again. I mean, he always puts balls in the box. He's building a nice little relationship with Saka, Tierney, but I'm struggling for highlights at the moment because it is worrying because we've got Chelsea on Boxing Day, and Chelsea, where they're playing at the moment, they're going to tear us apart. We're in trouble.
They've struggled last 2 games.
Yeah, we're not creating chances. I mean, Everton, they're an okay side. Everton, they play some nice football, but when you're allowed to play good football, because Arsenal didn't put any pressure on them at all. We'll
I'll never understand Arteta. So obviously this weekend we saw an increase in the number of subs you can have. So you get to go up to 9 subs. So on the bench he had both Bellerin and Suarez. Now just explain to me, are you expecting 2 right backs to get injured? Why would you have 2 right backs on the bench? And then Balogun isn't even on the bench. I mean, I find that very, very strange.
It's very strange. I'm not sure why Balogun's not in the team. I'm not sure if he's not been selected in the 25-man squad. I don't know. I'm going to assume he's in the 25-man squad, but it's very strange. I mean, I'm still behind Mikel Arteta. I think he is a very inexperienced manager, but you've got to stick by him because there's no point. I'd hate for Arsenal to become this sacking club, because who do we get in? Because where we are at the moment, we're not going to attract a top class manager.
What about the argument that he doesn't have any experience for this sort of situation? Like, if he was an experienced manager, they've maybe been in this situation before. Like if I was Arsenal, I'll be honest, I would go get Rafa Benitez, because he would organise you defensively, and that's probably the first thing you need to do. Organise you guys defensively, because Arteta, I don't like even the formation sometimes. I understand 3-5-2, but I do not understand. Willian has played as a false 9. You've got inverted wingers, and then you're crossing the ball to strikers who don't head the ball, which is bizarre. It's like, I remember England playing long balls to Darius Vassell and Michael Owen under Sven-Goran Eriksson, and just be like, they're 5'6", 5'7". Like, why are we doing that?
Yeah, it's very strange. I found Mikel Arteta's interview after the game a little bit strange, saying we dominated the game. It was like against Spurs. Yeah, we dominated the ball, but when you're passing side to side and not going anywhere, it doesn't matter about possession. Everton and a lot of teams we're facing at the moment, they're giving us the ball because they're not worried, because we're not creating anything. And it's I don't know what the answer is. It's definitely worrying, so I can say.
Rob Holding being captain as well might be a sign of the decline of Arsenal. Someone who's a solid professional, nothing against him as a character, but maybe not a top player, and might be a sign of the decline. Do you think Arsenal will get out of it, or do you think Arteta will be gone soon?
It's strange one, because any other club, like when Chelsea were down there, and Mourinho got the sack, didn't he? So it would. I'd hate to see him go. I think Arsenal will get out of it. I don't think Arsenal will get dragged into a relegation battle as such. But we're not going to finish in the top 4. That's gone. I think even top 6 is gone. I think we're gonna have to. 10 is going to have to be the target and try and win a cup. But as I say, that phrase is too good to go down. At the moment, it's relegation form, and only a win is going to help us out. And I don't see where our next point's coming from. They're never going to win.
Yeah, I think it's kind of watch this space. I think Arsenal as well have the most, probably loudest fan base going because of the social media presence. So it's going to be, after the Chelsea game, we're going to see more fans commenting and everything like that. So, I think that Brighton game Arteta's got, it's lined up for Danny Welbeck to ruin the Arteta party. But yeah, it'll be one of those watch this space. Hopefully Aubameyang's back as well, because I've obviously missed the weekend.
Yeah.
Even though he's in form, he's still one of your best players, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. And maybe a little break. Injury he had, maybe a little break might do him some good, and he might come back. We got Man City on I think it's on Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday. So
League Cup, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, I know it's only the League Cup, but we need a win from somewhere to try and build some confidence. We're at home. I know it doesn't really matter. It's not very good at home at the moment, but we need a win from somewhere. And maybe against a team like Man City, who probably have bigger fish to fry than the League Cup. But they
always win the League Cup, though, Man City, don't they? They're always winning the league.
Yeah, but I think we're gonna have to put out all our eggs.
Won it last year, didn't they? They're the defending champions.
Yeah, but it's going to be a cup, so I think they have to go for the. I would love Arsenal to win the league, of course we would, but it's not in top 4. But at the moment, if we can win a cup, win the League Cup, FA Cup, Europa League or something, and that would be something. But at the moment, I don't see us winning a game at the moment, so it's worrying.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a watch this space, and we'll be talking about this for weeks on end. I mean,
yeah.
moving on to the next kind of team that we've been seeing, Manchester United today winning 6-2 in a thriller against Leeds, big derby, Yorkshire versus Lancashire. Crazy start to the game, Johnny. 2 goals in the first 3 minutes.
It was unbelievable. I was not expecting that. I mean, you get early goals. That's not surprising, early goal. But when you get 2 goals in the space of 3 minutes or whatever it was, that's crazy. But they're the same player as well. It was McTominay. I think he's a decent player. He played really well today. I know he came off quite late with an injury. I'm not sure how serious that is. But great game of football. And the score is. I feel for Leeds a little bit, but then I feel for them, but I don't feel for them because they're kind of they don't help themselves because they only play one way, and which is great. I mean, they play some brilliant football and they alert teams, but trying to go forward as much and you score 3, we'll score 4. It can only go so far, and as a neutral, it's brilliant. But it must be so frustrating for a Leeds fan today because it scored 2 goals at Old Trafford and probably could have had 3 or 4. To be honest, they had chances. It could have been 6-5, but then United could have had 10. So
I've got to be honest. For me, I would take Bielsa at Newcastle. He is such an entertainer. Obviously, I've watched the last 2 games when they beat us and the game against United, and it's such an entertaining style. And I understand there will be times where they'll be on the end of a hiding, which happened when they played Palace, Leicester, and Man U today. But they've also had some thrillers, and games like against Liverpool. They were opening day of the season, they were so close to winning. Villa absolutely battered them. They are very, very entertaining to watch. And I mean, I've got to say, I do like, and I think the thing with Leeds is they have a very good ownership model, and they will, as long as Bielsa's still there, they'll keep letting him buy better and better players. And I think once you get better and better players into the system, you will become defensively better because you'll have better defenders, because they've still got kind of like championship defenders, really. When you look at the likes of Cooper, Ayling, these sorts of players who, did it incredibly to get them up out of the championship. Once they're able to add some quality players in, they will become solid, stronger. But yeah, I mean, very open. Man U were fantastic as well. We've got to give them credit. I think Bruno Fernandes, again, just so incredible how one player can change a team from a team which really didn't score many goals. If you remember, they were playing Lingard, Pereira in that kind of role, and they've had such an upgrade in Bruno Fernandes. I was happy for Daniel James as well. I think there's been a lot of rumours that he might be on his way out and that he's not good enough, and then he's come in, scored a goal, and also played really well. But yeah, for Man U, I mean, people are saying they're probably the second best team in the Premier League at the moment, behind Liverpool, because I think if they win their game in hand, they go second. Would you be in agreement that they're second best team at the moment?
Yeah, I think that today's showing, definitely. And with Daniel James, I thought he played very well. I thought he was a little bit unlucky to get his yellow card for diving, because I don't think it was a dive, to be honest. I thought he was a little bit unlucky not to get a free kick or something. But United, I mean, Fernandes, he's I don't have words for him really, because he's phenomenal. Took his goals well. Yeah, I mean, United, I won't say they're necessarily going to be at the end of the season winning the league. I think that might be a little stretch too far for them, but they're improving. It was a good performance, and they could have scored double figures. To be fair, it wasn't for some poor finishing and some good goalkeeping as well. But it was a great game of football for a neutral. That is what Super Sunday is all about when you watch games like that. Got loads of goals. But Leeds played their part. Don't get me wrong. They could have scored a few. But I think you're all right with the Championship defenders. They once Bielsa gets his own Premier League squad in as such, I think they'll be all right. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near the relegation zone, but just because they score so many goals, but they do concede a lot as well. So great game, though. Great game.
They have the worst. I think they've got the worst defence in the Premier League, but they're attacking so good. But I mean, for me as a fan, if you're not in a relegation battle and you're not pushing for the top, I'd rather be a Leeds fan and see entertaining games every week. Just go for it, and so forth. Like, they have a clear identity, and I'll come on to Newcastle in a bit, but I think for Leeds fans, they kind of trust him as well. So they understand, okay, yeah, we might get battered this weekend, but at least we tried and we went forward and we had chances. So I can see, I mean, he was up for Coach of the Year, which was quite a shock. But I mean, Klopp won it in the end. But yeah, I think Leeds fans, there's still a bit of naivety, but they'll be happy with how they've done so far. We'll come on to your noisy neighbours. The trophy, what do you call them? The trophy dodgers. That's it.
The trophy dodgers. Yeah,
the trophy dodgers. Played today, losing 2-0 at home to Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
Weird goals like Vardy and penalty and Alderweireld own goal. I mean, is it back-to-back defeats now? And they also drew with Palace 1 point in 9. Is it starting to show that Jose's style might be wearing off and they're not that special anymore?
Well, I mean, Leicester was superb today. I mean, Spurs had a couple of chances, don't get me wrong, but I mean, Leicester probably should have had 3. I mean, the offside goal for Maddison. I mean, I'm not sure how that's offside, to be honest. But
don't give me.
Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, it's not for me. I mean, I'm not going to be biased because I don't like Spurs, but it's not for me. That's not offside. I think when it's that close, and I don't talk about VAR too much, but surely to see if it's offside, the camera should be level so you can actually see it. If you know what I mean. But
VAR is a joke. Let's be honest.
It is a joke, absolutely. But Spurs, I mean,
such a nice goal as well. It was a really nice goal, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it is starting to kill football because I was like, oh, what a great goal! So you have that high, oh, it's a good game, great goal, and then it's just like you're waiting around for VAR. It's just like it's not football anymore. Like, we're not American football, we're not basketball. The free flowing nature has stopped, and it's really annoying because. Just really killing football. I mean, it is really, really unfair. I mean, I think it adds to drama sometimes, but I think people are fed up of it now, and it is killing celebrations, basically. I've seen a few bookmaker adverts where they kind of make fun of VAR, and I fully agree. I mean, personally, I would only use it for something really obvious now. Like, if his toe is over, just let the goal go, for goodness sake.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I don't with the VAR when it's so close. It's a bit. It is a joke. But with Spurs, I mean, as you say, 1 point in 9. They weren't great today. Didn't deserve anything out of the game. To be honest, I thought Leicester played very well. Jamie Vardy scores goals. That's what he does. Took his penalty well. Leicester are a good side. I mean, again, they're going to be up there in the season. I mean, I really like watching Leicester. But the trophy.
Weird home Leicester, aren't they? Very strange side at home. Seem to be doing better away.
Yeah, absolutely. And but no, with Spurs, I mean, all their players, they didn't play very well. I mean, we said before we went on air, Gareth Bale, he came on and didn't do anything. He had a free kick that went miles over the bar, where a couple of years ago that's probably pinged into the top corner. There's no creativity from Spurs today, which is fair play to Leicester, really. Played very well. It is quite funny, on Twitter, Spurs fan. I shouldn't laugh because I'm an Arsenal fan and we're not doing very well, but it's always nice to see Spurs lose. I'm not going to lie.
I think for me, with Bale in particular, he should have left a year or two ago. He's got rusty and he's not the same player. And it's his own fault. He had the options to leave and he would have taken a pay cut. Now we're seeing a shadow of the player, that he was. And, it's disappointing because for me, at his peak, he's one of the best players I've seen live. I saw him play Tottenham versus Newcastle a couple of times live, and I was just in awe of his athleticism, the way he beats people, his shooting ability and everything like that. Watching him now, I just really stayed. This is the problem. If you stay at a club where you're not playing, for too long, you can get rusty. And I mean, I think, a lot of people are saying, oh, I mean, we may as well mention him, Mesut Ozil.
Oh, here we go. Watch, yeah.
Yeah, that he should come back. But he's not played for months. Like, I mean, he's over 30. He's not going to be the same, to be honest. And I think if I was a footballer, I would be very wary of being inactive for a long period of time. Because to be fair to Gareth Bale, he's won 4 Champions Leagues, he's won La Liga twice. He's got nothing to prove to anyone, But now he is not the same force. Some people have said that they had worked out Spurs' game plan as well, because I think they only had 2 shots on target in the whole game, and that teams are starting to work out how, and there's no creative playmaker in the team. Lo Celso is more box to box. He's not really shown the PSG form, or real. I think he was PSG form. But yeah, I think Spurs should target top 4. I think the title is way too early for them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Let's hope so.
But like Leicester, you got to give them credit. If they keep Jamie Vardy fit, like again, they could be. Last year before lockdown, they were excellent, and then they came back from lockdown and their form dipped quite. So I mean, again, for them to be second now, I mean, Brendan Rodgers deserves a lot of credit.
Well, Andrew, I've always said, I said before we got Arteta that I would have loved to have got Brendan Rodgers. I think he's a winner. I mean, it's no disrespect to Leicester, but a big, massive club. I know Celtic were a big club. I mean, he was unlucky at Liverpool not to win the league, to be honest. And he went to Celtic and done very well. I think in England, if you went to a team like an Arsenal, even like a Chelsea or something like that, I think he'd win the league. To be honest,
do you think it's because people see him as a bit cringy, a bit David Brentish, and the way he talks sometimes, character technician, like, do you think that is held against him, that people can't really relate to him? Because whilst he's a nice man, he seems like a nice guy, he's a bit very cliches and I mean business speak with the way he communicates into the media.
Yeah, no, I get that totally. Yeah, we know there are a lot of memes about him, his wonderful character and things like that. But he's a good manager, and if I wouldn't be surprised, if Leicester, I think Leicester will get top 4. But if Leicester, get top 4 or not, I do think there'll be teams knocking. I wouldn't be surprised, if with Guardiola, it could be maybe his last year. I wouldn't be surprised if Man City try and go for something like that. He plays good football. Brendan Rodgers, every time he's been at, plays good football, and with even better players than he's got at Leicester, at Man City. Imagine that. I mean, it'd be unbelievable.
Man City they're gonna go get Arteta, aren't they? He's the key to their success.
Oh yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So we'll see what Leicester could do. Again, I think probably they'll want to get in the Champions League this year again. Probably just a bit short to put a title race in. Talking about my team, Newcastle won, Fulham won. I'm going to just say it was a dreadful game, really poor quality. Fulham were the better team, had more possession. Scott Parker, I think, has done very well with limited resources there. Obviously, he's an ex-Newcastle player. We were very lucky. I mean, I don't even think it was a penalty or a red card. So, we've benefited from VAR there, but I mean, what did you think of that decision? Did you think it was? Do you think it was a penalty?
I think it was very soft. It's very soft. But with Fulham, they've at the start of the season was also, I remember saying to my mates and stuff that Fulham they could go down without do a derby and hardly get any points. But they've kind of turned a corner. Fulham, they beat Leicester, which is a great result a couple of weeks ago. They drew at Liverpool, and another draw yesterday at St James's Park. And there are no easy games in the Premier League, and Fulham. I said Fulham were going down weeks and weeks and weeks ago, but they've turned a corner a little bit. They play some nice football as well. I do. I like. He needs time. He got them up, so I think he deserves that time to build his own squad and his own philosophy and things like that. And I think will be down there at the end of the season. I think they'll be in a relegation battle, but I think they'll be all right. You know, I think the football they play, I quite like.
Yeah, I think if you're asking me, I think they still have some defensive issues.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They will still struggle a little bit defensively. But anyone, if they can get Mitrovic scoring, I think that's key. Because on his day he's a top player. If they could get Lookman, Mitrovic scoring, then they've always got a chance. I think it's good that they've got Scott Parker in because he's had nearly 2 years now as manager, so he's been able to imprint his style on their team. I mean, looking at Newcastle, I've got to say the Steve Bruce, I do not understand our style of play. It seems to me our tactic is to give up possession, sit deep, and then try and counter attack. I don't really I think we've been very lucky with the wins that we've had this year. Without Callum Wilson, we'd definitely be in the relegation zone, no doubt. He's been an excellent signing. He really has scored all the goals scoring all the goals. Everything seems to happen through him. But as a team, I think Steve Bruce might be he's still managing like it's 15 years ago, where it's just like motivation, man management. There's no tactics. We're the only team, I think, when we played Burnley, to let Burnley have more of the ball than us, which is just a sad, real statistic. I know possession isn't everything, but when you give the ball up all the time, it's very difficult to watch. I mean, the comedic moment was Matt Ritchie's own goal.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Yeah, I think that was one of the bloopers. Yeah, it's very difficult at the moment. For me, he has better players than Rafa had, so I think we should be doing more attacking wise, but we're not. I don't think we'll get relegated, but I think it's just some of the worst football I've watched, really, and we've seen a lot of dross at Newcastle. But to be honest, there's been a lot of dross here. Difficult when, I think people are getting quite personal about Steve Bruce, and I don't like that. I just think people should just be like, he's not good enough, and so forth. Like, for me, if I was the manager, the main thing I would be doing is how can I get Maxim Almiron on the counter attack so that we can get them the ball. But he doesn't seem to do that. He seems to just be like, well, we'll try and be solid and then nick something, rather than there's no plan to retain the ball.
Yeah, I mean, and Newcastle got good players. I mean, Callum Wilson, I've been a big fan of him for a long time. Callum Wilson, Maximan, I think I like him. He's a decent player. He runs at you. Almiron, I like him as well. So I'm a massive fan of John Joe Shelby as well. I mean, he gets a lot of critics. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's a fantastic passer of the ball. And I think with that squad, you should be doing better. Because I think you've got some decent players. But I think that sometimes the style of play isn't ideal. But I think you are right. I think he does play football that's a little bit 15 years ago, kind of like Sam Allardyce, who are losing 2-0 by the way, at home to Villa. And I think 2 years out of the game for Sam Allardyce, I think that could be a stretch too far. I know he's kept his teams up, but I think 2 years out of the game is a long time in football.
I think with Sam Allardyce, my issue is I don't think he realises how bad that West Brom squad is. I think before, when he's gone in to Sunderland, to Palace, to Blackburn, to Everton, there have been some really, there've been teams that have some good players. When I look at the West Brom team, there's no one really that sticks out to me as being a top player. I think Conor Gallagher from Chelsea on loan, I think he's quite good. But,
I like him. I mean, I'll never understand why West Ham allowed Dion Garner to go.
Dion Garner's a good player as well.
West Ham, with the players they've got as well, they've got Lanzini, they've got Haller, who's, they've got some quite decent attacking players. And you think with Dion Garner in that team as well, creative midfielder, why would you let him go to a team like West Brom, who are probably going to go down? And you probably buy him back. They must have a buyback clause or something. It's madness. And it's crazy.
Yeah, I think for Sam, but the thing that he did very well when he went to Sunderland is he went in the January transfer window, brought in 3 players, and they stabilised the team. So I
Mm.
wouldn't write him off yet, but I just think that West Brom squad is not very good. So it might be a bit tough for him.
Well, speaking of Villa,
But
Villa might have a penalty as well. Yeah, it looks like it's a penalty. Yeah, it's like a penalty to Villa. I'm not watching the game. I'm kind of keeping an update on Sky Bet, and yeah, it looks like El Ghazi's going to step up, and Semi Ajayi has gave away a penalty, so could be 3-0 to Aston Villa, which is not good for Sam Allardyce.
yeah, not good at all. But yeah, for Newcastle, we just watch the space for Steve Bruce. I think the problem is there'll be no one who can replace him anyway. No one wants to work with Mike Ashley.
Probably
So
that's the problem. Yeah,
yeah,
it is 3-0 by the
to
way.
be fair to Mike Ashley, he wanted to leave. I mean, we can talk about the Premier League, but surprise, shock, shock, horror, horror. They signed a new deal with BN Sport, who were opposed to our takeover, which doesn't surprise me. They had 19 owners to one voted in favour of this new Premier League deal with BN Sports. So a little bit of corruption there. I'm not going to lie. But
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I mean, I like Newcastle. You know, I think I've actually got quite a lot of Newcastle mates. You know, and you know they're a passionate bunch, and you know they do get mocked a little bit Newcastle because you know not all Newcastle fans, but some Newcastle fans think they're bigger than they are. But you know they're a well supported club, and you know they should be with the fan base and the infrastructure they got there, and they should be so much higher. You know, we shouldn't be talking about Newcastle and relegation, and they should be. I think, just a personal opinion, I think a team like Newcastle should be like a Europa League regular. That's just my personal opinion.
I think for me, we have had to adjust. So when I was younger, we were always in Europe, always in the top kind of 4 to 6, always pushing, but now I see us more on a par with the likes of Everton, Villa, and Leicester. But we're not
Mm.
even doing it now. We're like hovering in 14th, 13th. But yeah, I mean, looking at the Let's All Laugh at for this week, few nominations.
Mhm.
Johnny, do you have anyone who you want to nominate?
So it's been a difficult one this weekend. I mean,
Brilliant.
obviously, the Matt Ritchie own goal was always quite funny. That was quite amusing. I felt sorry for him. I'm sure he doesn't find it funny now, but you know, in 10 years' time, when it's on a bloopers reel, you'll find it quite funny. Do you know what? To make myself feel better, just because we're so bad, I'm just going to laugh at Tottenham because a little back down to reality again. You know,
The Alderweireld own goal.
yeah, that'll do. Yeah, because I'll be getting a lot of stick, and rightly so, because I do give it out. Don't get me wrong. I'm always quick to give it out, and I'll always take it. But it's always quite nice to, because some Spurs fans are getting a little bit too excited about Mourinho, and they beat us, and they're above us by 12 billion points. So it's always quite nice to see your rivals lose at home. But yeah, so mine's Spurs.
Yeah, I think Jose Mourinho, for the last 2 games, has said they're the better team when they're not creating any chances. So I think Jose Mourinho, and he's very classic Jose. It's interesting with most managers. I think they learn from their mistakes of the past
Mm,
and they evolve. And I said this when Jose went to Man United and it started to fall apart for him. He was
mm,
repeating exactly the same behaviour as he did in Chelsea, his second spell in Chelsea and towards the end of Real Madrid. And I just find it interesting. He doesn't think, oh, maybe I should do things differently this time. And he's got to be very careful because if he starts, saying things, alienating players, that's where it all falls apart for him.
well,
So I
actually,
hope he wins.
yeah, no, I mean, sorry to interrupt. It's like kind of like with Dele Alli. You know, Dele Alli was, you know, all the fans were singing his name, and you know, he was the future for Spurs, as it were. And he's not even getting in the team now, Dele Alli. I know he plays in Europe every now and again, but he's not even like they're allowed 9 subs on the bench, and he's not one of them. So
Mm.
it's very strange, isn't it, with Dele Alli? It's kind of,
Have you
you know.
seen the Amazon Prime documentary about Spurs?
Yeah, I did watch it. Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, Dele Alli comes across as a bit of an idiot. I mean, I've got
No,
to be
yeah,
honest. He
well,
comes
yeah,
across not very focused, and there's a time where Mourinho calls him a bad trainer, and he's
yeah,
smirking, and like I just think that's the wrong attitude to have, like to be smirking. And so he was a great player, and I think he could get his mojo back if he could get focused again and start playing regularly, and he gets the right man, the right club, right situation. But he's a shadow of what he used to be. I mean, there was one game, I think it was England-France in a friendly, where he ran the game and he was excellent. But since the World Cup, really, his form has just dipped hugely, and
Yeah.
he's a shadow of what he was. And he's still young. That's the thing. He must be like 23, 24. He's still
Yeah.
very young, so he could easily get it back. He's not 28, 29. He could easily get it back. I think Jose and him were just not meant to be. He probably needs to get out in January, go somewhere, play regularly. I mean, I've read PSG are sniffing around. I don't think that would be a good move for him.
No, I can see Dele Alli getting, like a lot of young English players. I can maybe see him going over to somewhere like Germany, go sign for Dortmund, and because I think his style of play. Because Dele Alli, I mean, I'm not his biggest fan, but he's a decent footballer, and I think he needs his mojo back. And Jose Mourinho sees him in training, and I'm not the biggest Jose Mourinho fan either, believe it or not. But if you're not if Jose Mourinho says you're not a good trainer, then you're probably not a good trainer. And it's kind of weird, Andrew, isn't it, that with Mesut Ozil, we had a song about him being better than Zidane, blah blah blah, which he's not, obviously.
That song is every single club.
Yeah.
Does their play
and then Spurs have for Dele Alli.
Burnley sing it for Steven Defoe.
Yeah, and then Spurs have got a song saying in the same tune, he only costs $5 million, he's better than Ozil. Both them players are not playing for their clubs. Who'd have said a year ago? Who'd have said that?
Well, yeah, I think he needs to be very careful. He needs to make sure he moves quickly, or he could turn into Danny Rose, who can't find a club to buy him at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Danny Rose didn't even get a number, and it was only a few years ago. People were saying he's the best left back in Europe.
Yeah, and Danny Rose. I mean, he was a decent player, Danny Rose. I mean, I thought he
was atrocious.
I thought he'd done alright at Newcastle. To be fair, I thought he'd done alright. But I didn't see him every week. I didn't see him week in, week out. I only see highlights. But Danny Rose, I thought he was a decent player. I think he's been affected by certain personal stuff. But he came across quite well in that Spurs documentary. Actually, I mean, I did watch it, and there were some players that came out quite well in that, and I found a kind of a new respect for Danny Rose in that.
Yeah, I think for Dele Alli, yeah, he's definitely someone who needs to reinvigorate himself. Anyone else you would say let's all laugh at?
Who can we? I don't know really. I mean, it was quite amusing.
Watch for the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, there was normally let's all laugh at, but it was Mane with his reaction to being subbed. He was really angry being subbed, and then Salah comes on and scores too. That was quite funny. And on Match Today, they kept cutting back to his face. He was not impressed. He's like, we're winning 7-0. Why am I not on this pitch and scoring goals? It was quite funny that.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, with that club, basically, I always say this, whoever is on the bench at whatever club, the manager gets asked about them all the time. It's just classic, because if you have a squad of 23, and some people have to be on the bench. That's just the facts of life. But yeah, Mane's reaction was he was not happy. His goal was quality as well, very explosive finish, out of nothing really. But yeah, I think for Mane as well. I think that was his first goal in 8 games. So he was keen to add, and obviously seeing Salah come on score 2. When them two are fighting out really to be the star man. I mean, lots of people say, I personally think Mane's the better player, but I think Salah's the better finisher.
Yeah, no, definitely. A lot is made up of players when they come off. There's always like, they throw their gloves down or they're not, I don't mind seeing a player not happy not happy when they come off. I don't mind that. That means they're passionate. I'd much rather them show some passion and throw their gloves on the floor than come off smiling. I mean, I much prefer that. And I'm sure I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I'm sure Liverpool fans will be like, Joe, what? That proves that he wants to play for the club. He doesn't want to come off. So
yeah.
It's like anything, isn't it? I mean, if there's fights in training or something like that, as a fan, if the players fight in training, that means they're competitive. That means they got the will to win. I don't mind that. If they get the results, I don't care.
Yeah, I think, for instance, Mesut Ozil in the Europa League final trudged off the pitch very, very slowly. I'd rather Mane being angry than
exactly that. Yeah.
the slow trudge. I mean, we have Matt Ritchie, who every time he gets substituted, he throws a hissy fit. Every single time. In some games, he's playing awfully, and I'm just like, you deserve to be subbed. But yeah, I can understand it when we always Newcastle famously had Bellamy. This is when I think Graham Souness was manager, and basically Camera went straight to his face, lip reading. He called him the C word, and so players have to be very, very careful now, especially with all the lip readers and everything going on. Very, very, very.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, thanks very much, guys, for joining us on the Let's All Laugh podcast. Sorry there was no George. Hopefully he's recovered from Palace 0, Liverpool 7.
Let's laugh at George, because his idea to do a Sunday as well. He's not even turned up.
He's not even turned up. He's done a Carlos Tevez, I think. He's gone AWOL. Yeah, done a Carlos. Who's the other one who went AWOL? Carlos Tevez, I think it's Van Hooijdonk. He's gone and done one of those. Should be fined 2 weeks' wages of £0.
That's it. Absolutely.
Could you imagine that? He's on a Balotelli. Balotelli's the latest one who's gone missing from training, I think. But yeah, thanks for joining us.